Introduction. Negotiation is not what you think it is. When most people think of negotiation, they imagine power plays, logic battles, and compromise. Two sides sitting across a table trying to outsmart each other or meet halfway. But according to Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator, that view leaves millions of dollars and countless opportunities on the table. True negotiation, whether in business, relationships, or high-stakes hostage situations, is not about reason. It's about emotion. It's about understanding what drives people, especially when they're under pressure. And it all starts with tactical empathy. Saw by Saad Haddad. From suicide hotlines to hostage standoffs, where real negotiation begins. Before Voss ever stepped into a hostage crisis, his training began on the front lines of emotional desperation, suicide hotlines. The core lesson? Intense, focused listening. Not listening to respond, but listening to understand. That's where emotional intelligence is born. Every human decision, even the ones made by armed gunmen surrounded by law enforcement, is emotional at its core. And so are the decisions made in boardrooms, sales calls, and marital arguments. When hostage negotiators use a bullhorn to talk to gunmen, they're not just commanding surrender. They're mirroring emotions, building trust, and finding leverage in what the other side cares about. That's negotiation, at its most raw and real. Emotions drive decisions, not logic. We like to believe we're rational creatures. But every decision we make is influenced by what we value, what we fear, and what we've experienced. These are emotional drivers, not logical ones. In fact, Nobel Prize-winning research in behavioral economics confirms that people feel the pain of loss at least twice as strongly as they feel the pleasure of gain. This is known as loss aversion. It means that when someone is negotiating, they are often more motivated by what they might lose than what they might gain. That's why great negotiators don't start with facts or benefits. They start with fears, addressing what the other side is afraid of, acknowledging the negatives, and easing emotional barriers. Tactical empathy. Understand first, influence late. Tactical empathy isn't about agreeing with someone. It's about understanding them so well that they feel understood. And when people feel understood, they open up, lower their defenses, and start making better decisions. There are a lot of negotiators that give in on a deal because being understood is more important than getting what they want. Chris Voss. How do we practice tactical empathy? Through a technique called labeling. Labeling involves using phrases like, "It sounds like you're frustrated. It seems like you've been let down before. It looks like this is really important to you." When you label someone's emotions, you signal that you're paying attention, that you get it. Science shows that labeling reduces the intensity of negative emotions. It's disarming. It helps people shift from emotional to rational thinking, exactly where you want them in a negotiation. The hidden power of preempting negatives. One of the most powerful tactics in negotiation is calling out the negative before the other side can. Voss shares a tactic where he tells people up front, "What I'm about to say might sound really harsh, and you might not like me after this." By doing this, he softens the blow. The listener braces for something terrible, and what actually comes is more tolerable. This tactic neutralizes defensiveness and shows emotional awareness. Listening like a black belt. Listener's judo. Beyond active listening, Voss teaches what he calls listener's judo. It's a highly skilled form of listening where you're not just hearing words but decoding emotions, hidden motives, and unspoken needs. Listen for negatives between the lines. Every positive claim hides a past pain. Every strong opinion reveals an emotional wound or fear. If someone insists on integrity, it might mean they've been betrayed before. That flips the conversation. You now know what they're really protecting. A story of empathy in action. In one story, Voss recounts speaking to a burnt-out airline customer service rep, someone who had likely been yelled at 50 times that day. But instead of demanding or complaining, he flipped the script. He imagined what she might be feeling. "This guy's lucky I'm talking to him at all." Then he said, "You know what? I really appreciate how generous you've been with your time." That small act of recognition changed her attitude immediately. A few minutes later, she issued him a full refund. Not because he fought for it, but because she wanted to help. Negotiation is human connection. The biggest misconception about negotiation is that it's a form of conflict. In truth, it's a form of connection. Getting your way. Negotiation isn't about getting your way. It's about helping others see your way by first showing them you understand theirs. Guiding decisions. It's about guiding people through emotional terrain toward better decisions. Real-world impact. Whether it's a multi-million-dollar business deal or a tense discussion with your spouse, the skills that save lives in hostage situations can also save relationships, grow businesses, and make everyday interactions far more successful. Final thought. If you think negotiations succeed because of reason and compromise, think again. Negotiation is not logic, it's emotional navigation. Mastering tactical empathy and emotional intelligence won't just make you a better negotiator. It will make you a more effective leader, partner, and human being. Because in the end, people don't care how smart you are. They care about how deeply you understand what matters to them.